Okay. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to my final speech for public speaking. This has been a great 7 weeks. I've had a lot of fun coming out here, and although making the trek to Morrill every Wednesday isn't exactly the highlight of my week, it's certainly been so entertaining to sit here and learn about public speaking. So now I'm giving my final presentation, and it is about, as you probably guessed, SpongeBob SquarePants. And SpongeBob SquarePants is a children's show that's been running since the late 90s on Nickelodeon. And I just love SpongeBob SquarePants. There is nothing more exciting to me now, and even when I was a kid, to wake up on a Saturday morning and just watch SpongeBob and all of his miscellaneous adventures throughout the day as he carried on just through his daily endeavors. Obviously, some of the main important characters are SpongeBob himself. One of the greatest SpongeBob episodes out there is Season 1, Episode 2B, the episode where SpongeBob rips his pants. He sings his great little song, and he's out there singing and dancing on the beach. But the thing that I really like about this episode is I think it highlights the importance that maybe we can't really take a joke too far. It starts out when SpongeBob rips his pants and everybody thinks it's funny, and then he just continues to rip his pants the entire episode, and eventually it just gets annoying. So the moral of this episode, I think, is to just kind of, a joke is funny, but maybe don't overdo it a little bit, right? Next really, really important character here is Patrick Star, SpongeBob's best friend and also his neighbor. Patrick Star is, I don't really know how else to put it besides just stupid. But that's what we love about Patrick, right? Is his innocence and his naivety to the world around him, simply just because he is not smart enough to understand it properly, right? I think we might know a person or two like that in this room. Anyway, Patrick's greatest episode, I think, comes in Season 6, Episode 120A, when he's talking on the phone as he gets his first gig at the Krusty Krab. He answers the phone and he says things like, people will call and he'll say, is this the Krusty Krab? And he says, no, this is Patrick. Everybody remembers that scene. Everybody loves that scene. And I love that scene too. That's why I decided to tell you all about it in this presentation. In addition to Patrick and SpongeBob, there is a whole host of supporting characters that go along with SpongeBob, on their daily adventures. We have Squidward, who is the other neighbor. There's Mr. Krabs, who is the owner of the Krusty Krab, the place that SpongeBob works at. There's Karen and Plankton, who are married and work at the Chum Bucket, and they are SpongeBob's greatest, rivals. The Krusty Krab's greatest rivals in terms of business, but they kind of stink. There's also Sandy Cheeks, who's SpongeBob and Patrick's best friend from Texas. And she lives in a tree dome under the sea, and she does all sorts of cool science experiments, which is great. And lastly, we have SpongeBob's pet snail, Gary, who has all sorts of adventures on his own, both with and without SpongeBob. Moving right along here, one of the things that I want to talk about as we dive into SpongeBob SquarePants is just the idea of this old versus new SpongeBob. There's been a long-going debate that old SpongeBob is superior and better SpongeBob. And as we look at the two images on the screen here compared to a picture of SpongeBob from Season 1 and a picture of SpongeBob from the latest season, Season 13, we can see a plethora of differences. Clearly in the first image, SpongeBob appears to be a bit more, grainy and less detailed compared to the new SpongeBob, where his eyes are bigger, he looks friendlier, he looks cuter, he looks squishier, he has more holes, and, he's just overall just a lot more intuitive to children these days. Old SpongeBob and old SpongeBob episodes, people tend to like those more because they kind of pushed the boundaries of what you really should be watching on television for children, whereas now SpongeBob is just kind of soft and mushy and gooey, and there's not really a whole lot going on there, right? Last thing I want to highlight here are the memes that we can get from SpongeBob SquarePants. Now, this is the reason that SpongeBob has remained so popular as time has gone on. There's the lifeguard episode where SpongeBob pretends to be dead, and that face the lifeguard makes There's Caveman SpongeBob. There's SpongeBob with his eyes split. There's SpongeBob as he attempts to make fun of people. There's even more memes than just what I have included on this slide here. And this is definitely the most important reason that SpongeBob has remained popular throughout our time, just because there's so many different ways that you can take an episode of SpongeBob and just make it funny, even to people our age now. And I think it also has to do with the fact that, we can relate to seeing SpongeBob when we were younger, and seeing these episodes, we remember them, and it's created a sort of nostalgic feeling that people just like to have when they think about SpongeBob. Thank you for listening to my presentation. I'm sorry I couldn't give it in person. I really was looking forward to doing that, but we'll have to make do with our situation now. And yeah, if there's any questions, I'll answer those right now. Boom, nailed it.